Dear Mr. Thank you for your letter of 14th November in which you express your dissatisfaction with the response you received to your original complaint. I'm told that your appeal was unheld. This is from Head of Regional Business Services North. It's regrettable that some aspects of your circumstances were not taken into account during your interview. Had all the facts been sought and considered with a different outcome. The circumstances of your case have brought to light some inadequacies in the questioning techniques of some of our officers. You will be pleased to know this has now been addressed. Each of the officers involved has now undergone a training course to improve their technique. Blah, blah, blah. Your comments have been taken on board and instructions have been issued to all staff to amend some of the wording. There is no evidence to suggest that any of the officers were guilty of any misconduct. However, I accept there are some aspects of this case that could have been handled differently. Thank you for bringing these to our attention. These points have been taken on board and have resulted in identifying a training need and a change in some of our procedures. I'm sorry you've been inconvenienced on this occasion of experience. Now, do you have reason to believe that I am carrying excise goods for a commercial purpose? Because if not, you may not detain me or ask me questions. That's quite clearly spelled out in your own leaflets. These people really should get up to speed. If you are bringing in alcohol or tobacco goods and we have reason to suspect they may be for a commercial purpose, an officer may ask you questions. If not, you may not. Understood? Now then, what are we waiting for? You mean I haven't been talking to the person in charge?
You were, 2 minutes ago.
And?
He's gone.
And he thinks my time is no value? He either has answers or he doesn't. I think I'm going to leave now. I shall be outside.
Right, you're under arrest. You've been arrested. You can't go anywhere. Okay? You're under arrest. You're detained.
What is the charge?
Obstructing an officer. We've explained this to you about 5 times.
In what way have I obstructed you?
Because
by failing to do what you have no right to insist I do.
By charging past us and not allowing the...
I did not charge past you. Don't exaggerate, it doesn't become you. It doesn't become your uniform. Right. Use your language carefully.
Well, whatever you want to call it, you walked away from the control.
I do not wish to remain.
Right, well, you've been arrested, so that right's been taken away from you.
I don't think I have been arrested.
You have been.
Fetch a policeman.
We don't need a policeman, we have the power to arrest you. Do we have the powers of arrest? We don't need a police officer to arrest you.
You have the powers of arrest,
yes.
But you have to use them carefully.
What? He's exercised his right to use his powers, hasn't he?
Who? So who's arrested?
I've arrested you.
Oh. You've arrested me. These guys are trying to take over your case, have you know?
I'm not trying to take over your case.
Take over my case?
Right.
Okay, we just need to make sure that you remain here so we can ask you some questions. Okay, and all the time you keep trying to get out of the door, we're going to have to stop you. Okay?
Say, please.
Are you detaining me against my will?
Well, no, you're under arrest.
I'll tell you what, when I get outside, I'll stop. Is that fair?
No.
Where does your jurisdiction end?
Probably.
It's countrywide, isn't it? Don't you know?
I know.
Are you, as a customs officer, allowed to perform your duties anywhere in the country? Are you allowed to perform them outside this building?
But if you were to run outside the building...
I'm not running.
I'm just saying, if you were to run outside the building...
If I were to disappear in the cloud of smoke, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to run.
Okay.
Do you have the power and the authority outside that you have inside?
Yes. You step outside.
Would you mind if we go outside so I can answer that?
That's right.
Because the last time I spoke to Customs, it was 4.5 hours.
Okay.
And I would like a cigarette. Can you hurry this up a bit, please? Yes,
Like I say, you've got two options. Under Section 78, you've got the powers to stop and question anybody coming into the UK.
Quite the relevant section.
Well, I don't have to go.
If you don't know it, how can you like to exercise
At the end of
it?
the day,
I know it.
the Customs Excise Management Act is thousands away.
I know it is. And I worked through it.
Us to know everything.
Yes, I do, because I know it, and I don't do it for a living.
That's not reasonable.
You should know the bits that
we know how to apply the law in our job.
No, you don't. What's in my experience?
Now, Section 78, can I just let me finish? Any passenger who arrives into the UK, we're customs officers and immigration officers. We can talk and ask questions to anyone.
You used to be able to. We've joined the EU. I am a British citizen. I have not left the EU. You do not. Are you familiar with the Hobsbawm judgment?
Can you not let me finish?
You're not letting me finish.
Reasonable grounds. We have reasonable grounds.
What are they?
Question anybody who comes in.
Oh, I thought you were going to say me.
We're looking for prohibition, restrictions, right? Now, can I just finish? There's two options. You can either, under your own accord, come into there and ask questions.
Because they suggested in their evidence they might stop passengers for legally inadmissible reasons, they did not prove to the court that there were reasonable grounds for stopping. Goods should therefore not have been seized.
Basically, that's because
such goods are only to not be treated as being imported for the traveller's own use if the state can show that they are in fact holding them for. You have to show that they're holding them for commercial purpose. It was the purpose of the council to extend this right of free movement to excise goods and to prohibit frontier checks that were liable to impede this right. The only power available to customs and excise to stop and search people at an internal frontier arises if there are reasonable grounds to suspect. Yes, and they are not allowed to rely on generalities or trends. And there must be reasonable grounds to suspect the person who they are checking. In the absence of such suspicion on an individual, excuse me, I haven't finished. In the absence of such suspicion on an individualised basis, they have no right to impede, you're impeding me, to impede community travellers' movements at the frontier for the purposes connected with the collection of excise duty. This is the High Court. You should know about this.
Basically, this officer stopped you. She thought she has got reasonable grounds to stop.
What are they?
Right?
What are the reasonable grounds?
I'll tell you that at this point. But you're going to be questioning it.
What are your reasonable grounds for stopping me?
You only have 54 packets of tobacco. I put your suitcase through the X-ray, which leads me to believe that your suitcase contains tobacco, so I needed to ask you some questions about your tobacco.
Didn't you listen to this? Right. This is the High Court judgment. It's years old.
You're either going to be...
You cannot impede me for the purpose of excise duty checking unless you have reasonable grounds to believe that I'm carrying them for a commercial purpose.
You're going to go by your own accord.
Now, you can't just do that because you don't like my face. You can't do it because I bought a lot. You have to have reasonable grounds to believe that they are for a commercial purpose.
I do.
And
you have a quantity of tobacco in your suitcase that when I ask you to stand and wait while we do some checks, and then we'll come and question.
So because I wouldn't do what you don't have the right to ask me to do, you assume that...
You're going to let me finish? Yeah? Right. Because you then proceeded to walk away, and we've asked...
As was my right.
And we're asking you to go back to the bench to ask you some
I'm not
questions.
interested in requests from customs officers. You've wasted too much of my time over the last 10 years.
You
don't have the right to give me an order to stop unless you have reason to believe that I'm carrying excise goods for a commercial purpose. You admitted you don't even know who I am, so you're not working on a tip-off or anything like that. It's a random...
This officer stopped...
You think that because I've got a lot, it might be for a commercial purpose. You have to have reasonable grounds to suspect that they are for a commercial purpose.
I do.
Because there's a lot.
Because of different reasons that I've just given you.
Because
the fact that when I ask you some questions...
I wouldn't stop.
You won't stop. Yes, correct. And because you won't stop, because this doesn't stop.
You don't have the right to stop me unless you have the reason. You can't ask me to stop illegally and then consider that a reason Stop me legally. Do you understand?
I do understand, yeah.
No, do you understand?
Yes, I do.
You're missing the logic of the situation. You must have a reason to stop me before you stop me. You can't stop me without a reason and then claim the fact that I didn't stop without a reason is a reason for stopping me with a reason. Do you understand that?
I understand.
The reason I was selected.
The reason you were selected, we are not to tell you the reason that you were selected. It's not in the public interest for us to divulge how we target, how we profile, how we do our job.
You will have to tell the court.
No, I don't have to tell you.
Yes, you do have to tell the court.
Public
Can be
interest-
disclosed.
You do have to tell the court.
Okay. Right.
This officer.
Should we go back in there?
No.
And we'll get the questions asked.
You go back in there by all means. I want to go outside for a cigarette. Your authority, such as it is, does not diminish as we get outside. If you want some cooperation from me, let me have some cooperation from you. I'd like to go outside and have a cigarette.
You can't go on a cigarette.
Why? You can question me outside. Your authority does not diminish when we leave the building.
You've been here half an hour. You could have answered the questions.
The last time I was questioned by Customs, I was detained for 4.5 hours before they admitted me was up.
That's a totally different. I can't comment on.
Can we go outside?
So we can't actually now.
I'm going outside. I will then answer your questions.
Well, can you? Well, you have to give it.
When we get outside, I will be willing to answer questions.
As a victim,
You're not moving.
Are you detaining me against my will?
Like, yeah.
Are you detaining me against my will?
So we're going to handcuff now. Do you want to do it?
Because I'm dangerous, yes?
No, because you're not.
Because you're surrounded by 4 customs officers and not being remotely aggressive. Just the very fact that I know the law better than you do is a justification.
Say you're
fastening my hands
and
together.
answer the question to the officer and go in there now and answer the
Do
question.
you have a tape recorder?
Pardon?
Do you have recording facilities?
We write ours verbatim in notebook.
Not good enough.
Well, you can read it, and if anything you disagree.
No, I've been there before.
Well, anything you can disagree, you can get it changed.
I want it recorded.
You'd have to go into the office then. So are you happy to be questioned?
I need a cigarette first.
Well, first, can we just ask...
Shall we all go outside?
Can I just explain? This officer asked you initial question, which was about your shirt.
She didn't have the right to ask me.
Can you just let me finish? Once those questions have been asked, just the initial ones, which will take 5 minutes, you can then go and have a cigarette, come back in here, and if then the officer... So again, you can go and have a cigarette after you have your initial question from this officer, which will take probably 5-10 minutes of a note. Okay, you can then come back in here and...
Is that okay with you?
that's
So a few initial questions. I and my luggage can go outside for a cigarette.
Yeah, well, obviously there'll be a couple of officers with you.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Where do you want to go?
Just back in here.
Just back to where we were.